There are plenty of times here on Motor Week that you've seen us behind the wheel of fabulous, expensive, fast cars. Cars like that are what driving is all about. And yes, we'd all love to find one parked outside our house in the morning.
Unfortunately, the car that we'd love to own and the car we have to own are actually very different. The reality needs to be an affordable, practical car, something to nip around in and transport us all from A to B.
And those are qualities that these two midget gems certainly have. The Seat Arosa and VW's baby Lupo. Cute little names, in cute yet practical packages. But they're also cars that won't leave you pleading with the bank manager. But how do these super minis, that are just perfect for today's super mums, compare with each other? In terms of the factor, they're both sweet little bundles. In fact, from behind to take the most observant of mums to even tell them apart. They both have a squared-off little hatch at the back that opens to reveal a tiny amount of storage space which is actually even smaller in the Lupo. But that's the only point that makes the Arosa the more attractive of the two. Both cars have a very similar look. They do, after all, share the same daddy, otherwise known as Volkswagen. But the story here is one that's familiar to many siblings.
Unfortunately, the Arosa has lost out to its little brother in the looks department. Now, they are very similar. In fact, they could almost be twins. But while the Lupo has the potential to make it to the catwalk, the Arosa is always going to be the one known as having a good personality. But hey, when it comes to cars in this class, isn't a good personality what it's all about?
This is the kind of car that you immediately feel at home in. The 1.4 engine feels nice and punchy, it revs smoothly, and its 60 brake horsepower gets you to a top speed of 100 miles per hour. 0 to 60 takes 14 seconds, a couple of seconds slower than the Lupo.
The 4-speed gearbox is slick and it responds well. Now, my only gripe is that the power steering, which by the way is standard on all models, feels a little bit heavy. But that aside, this car sticks to the road like glue when you corner, and it really is, surprisingly, a very entertaining drive. The Arosa shares its platform with the VW Polo. Well, in fact, to be perfectly honest, it probably shares an awful lot with its cousins from Volkswagen. But that isn't a bad thing, far from it. What it actually means is that Seat's days of quality control problems are now long gone.
There's a definite feeling of quality about the Arosa. But of course, quality costs. And in this case, the 1.4 SE will set you back £8,395.
And that price includes a few extras, things like central locking, electric windows, and a pollen filter if you're a hay fever sufferer. Now, the cabin isn't the most exciting of places to be, what with this extremely large, bulky dashboard of, yes, black plastic. But everything does feel solid and well built, and as if it would withstand the hammer that a family will no doubt put it through. Now, we know that little Lupo comes tops in the looks department, but what about that bit that we spend all our time in? The interior. Well, the bright green upholstery that tones with the exterior paint job will certainly wake up the kids in the morning. I think it looks great, it's really bright and cheerful. But don't worry if green isn't your thing, because there are plenty of other colours you can choose from. Now, in here the look is very modern and really well thought out. There's a very interesting use of shapes and some wonderful design touches. The Arosa may have been well built, but this eclipses it. It just oozes quality and design. You could almost be in a Golf that's been shrunk in the wash. Just look at the way the grab handles and the cup holders are dampened. There are plenty of ingenious storage spaces, and my favourite touch for those cold winter mornings, heated seats. These are things that you would normally expect to find in a luxury marque and not a super mini. In fact, the quality in here could put many luxury cars to shame. But then, this is a Volkswagen.
And this 1.4 SE may be more upmarket than the Seat, but it's going to cost you more as well. Around £1,200 more at £9,500 grand. But remember, because this is a Volkswagen, the reputation and build quality mean you won't lose quite so much money after a few years of motoring.
And what happy motoring it will be. The 1.4 engine produces 75 brake horsepower. That means you get a top speed of around 106 miles per hour. And if you're up for it, you can get from 0 to 60 in just over 12 seconds. But somehow I don't think the Lupo is going to attract too many boy racers. Now this 1.4 engine is definitely a better buy than the 1 litre. The 16 valves means that it rushes around town in a hurry to get all your jobs done. It really does feel very nippy. Overtaking is no problems in it, neither is cruising on the motorway.
The benefits of super minis are of course cheap insurance, Group 5 in the case of the VW and a low Group 3 for the Seat. They'll also be cheap to run as they both average around 45 miles to the gallon.
And now it's time for the bit that all brothers and sisters hate, picking the favourite. And in this family, it's a very close call. The Arosa is an excellent value for money package, and surprisingly, it's very entertaining to drive. The Lupo isn't quite so much fun behind the wheel, but it's the excellent build quality and those wonderful design touches that really make it stand out. And as I doubt that many of us are buying a super mini with performance in mind, for me, the Lupo gets to be the favourite in this family.